Hello everyone. Today on Humans in 5, I'm going to talk a little bit more about my PhD research. And the core of my work involves learning more about how people interact with the environment around them. Now we know that humans are incredibly adaptable. We've been able to successfully change our behaviors and our biology to survive in most environments on Earth. And while we live in a range of environments today, in the past, populations lived in challenging areas without the assistance of modern technologies such as air conditioning and heating that we've come to rely on today. So let me show you a picture. What do you think of when you see this? Most people run to something like Lawrence of Arabia or the planet of Tatooine. But what if I were to ask you again in terms of human survival? We tend to think of these dry, arid areas as very unforgiving. And it sort of makes sense. In terms of our understanding of resources, there's not much there. It's difficult to find food and water, and that may have impacted human populations who lived in these types of areas. While we can learn a bit about how people survived in these regions by observing modern populations, we don't specifically know how living with difficult environmental conditions affected human behavior and biology in the past. And this brings me to my research question. Did life in dry regions affect human behavior and biology in prehistory? So to answer this question, I'm looking at human skeletal remains from 3 different regions in southern Africa: the Cape Coast, the semi-arid central interior, and the hyper-arid Namib Desert. These 3 regions represent increasingly arid environments, where resources become very scarce as you move from one to the other. Therefore, populations living in these different regions would have faced unique challenges that may have required behavioral changes, as well as biological adaptations, to deal with unpredictable resource availability because of arid conditions. So why prehistoric southern Africa? There are many clues in this region as to how people lived their lives because of a very rich archaeological record. We have a lot of material culture to work with. And as we get closer and closer to the historic era, we start to see some historic records on how people adapted to these regions. For my research in particular, I'm using differences in bone structure, particularly aspects related to body size and physical activity, to learn how populations may have been affected by the challenges found in these regions. And the results are forthcoming. But while I've talked about who, what, when, and where, why? Why study this in the first place? So by seeing how skeletal biology has been affected by life in dry regions in the past, I can help us build a picture of how humans have adapted to the world around us, and help clarify the mechanisms that we use to cope with environments in the past. Also, today, we live in a world where climates are changing rapidly, and while there are fewer populations interacting with their environment in a very intimate way, an understanding of how we dealt with environments in the past can help us predict biological challenges we may face in the future. So that's it from me. I hope you found it very interesting, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.